On November 22, 1963, President John F. Kennedy, the youthful and charismatic leader of the United States, set off on a campaign visit to Dallas, Texas, amid a tense period in American history. The Cold War cast a long shadow over global politics, while America faced internal struggles over civil rights, economic challenges, and a profound desire for progress that Kennedy had famously dubbed the New Frontier. The nation looked toward him with hope, dreaming of sweeping reforms and peaceful advancement. That day, the driver of history shifted irrevocably, and what followed was a chain of events so shocking, unnerving, and complex that its echoes still ripple through American culture and politics. Earlier that Friday morning, Air Force One landed at Love Field in Dallas to a warm but tense reception. President Kennedy and First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy were joined by Texas Governor John Connally and his wife Nellie for a motorcade through the city's downtown streets. Thousands gathered to wave American flags and cheer, the sounds of optimism mingling with the tension of the era. The planned route was well known, winding through Dealey Plaza, a location filled with ordinary office buildings, grassy knolls, and the Texas School Book Depository, a nondescript warehouse that became the epicenter of history. Crowds lined the streets to catch glimpses of their president, leaning into open windows and waving from rooftops. The air was thick with anticipation. As the motorcade turned onto Elm Street, the unmistakable crack of gunfire shattered the hopeful atmosphere. Panic erupted. 3 shots rang out in rapid succession. The shots created chaos and confusion. One missed its target, another struck both President Kennedy and Governor Connally in a single devastating moment, and the final, fatal bullet struck President Kennedy in the head, killing him instantly at 12:30 p.m. Jacqueline Kennedy's horror and grief were etched in the faces captured by photographers as she reached out to hold her husband, the Secret Service rushing to protect and whisk him away. The motorcade sped to nearby Parkland Memorial Hospital, but by 1 p.m., the announcement came: John F. Kennedy was dead. Law enforcement swiftly began piecing together the horror. Within hours, they identified the site of the shooting, the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository. Behind stacked cardboard boxes, a rifle lay in silence, an Italian-made bolt-action Mannlicher Carcano. Suspicion immediately fell on a young employee of the building, Lee Harvey Oswald. Witnesses reported seeing him acting strangely that morning, and he was arrested less than an hour later in a local movie theater. Authorities accused Oswald not only of killing Kennedy but of murdering Dallas police officer J.D. Tippit during an attempted escape, deepening the tale's tragedy and darkness. Meanwhile, Vice President Lyndon B. Johnson was sworn in as the 36th president aboard Air Force One, the weight of the nation's sorrow and responsibility pressing down on him. The iconic scene of Jacqueline Kennedy, her bloodied pink dress visible in the historic photographs, seated beside the new president, became forever emblematic of a nation shattered. Lee Harvey Oswald's life and motivations became intensely scrutinized. Just 24 years old, Oswald's story was layered and perplexing. A former U.S. Marine disgruntled with American policies, he had defected to the Soviet Union in 1959, married a Russian woman, and briefly lived in the USSR before coming back to the States in 1962. He held outspoken Marxist beliefs and seemed alienated from his own country. Oswald had only worked at the Texas School Book Depository for about 6 weeks when he allegedly fired the shots that ended a presidency. Despite massive public and governmental pressure, Oswald maintained his innocence under police interrogation, famously proclaiming, "I'm just a patsy." This insistence fueled larger doubts about the veracity of the charges. However, the physical evidence was compelling. His fingerprints on the murder weapon, his palm print on the boxes used as a sniping vantage point, and multiple eyewitnesses placed him on the 6th floor at the critical time. Tragedy compounded tragedy when, 2 days after his arrest, Oswald himself became the victim of a shocking act of violence. On November 24, nightclub owner Jack Ruby shot Oswald live on television during a transfer from city jail. This act ensured that Oswald never stood trial, sealing the case in mystery and leaving America and the world without closure. This fueled decades of conspiracy theories and public distrust in official accounts. In response to the crisis, President Johnson created the Warren Commission to investigate the assassination. Headed by Chief Justice Earl Warren, the commission spent months compiling testimony from over 550 witnesses and reviewing thousands of exhibits. The 1964 report concluded that Oswald acted alone, firing 3 shots from the book depository. Crucially, they upheld the contentious single bullet theory, which claimed that one bullet caused multiple wounds in both Kennedy and Governor Connally. While the Warren Commission's findings were accepted by many, they sparked deep distrust in others. The famous Zapruder film, a home movie capturing the assassination, offered the public an unfiltered view of those agonizing seconds, sparking debate over the number and sources of the shots. Complex and conflicting interpretations left many questioning the simplicity of the official report. From the start, the assassination fueled skepticism and spawned a web of conspiracy theories. Numerous witnesses reported hearing shots from the grassy knoll, a small hill in Dealey Plaza opposite the book depository, suggesting the possibility of multiple shooters. Audio evidence and witness testimonies lent credence to theories of crossfire. Some implicated dark forces behind the scenes: the CIA, marginalized by Kennedy's Cuba policy; the Mafia, threatened by Robert Kennedy's crusade against organized crime; foreign operatives wary of Cold War tensions; and Oswald's Soviet ties. These suspicions were exacerbated by Oswald's mysterious activities, including a covert trip to Mexico City prior to the assassination. Critics derided the magic bullet explanation as improbable, citing biomechanics and ballistic anomalies, intensifying mistrust in government findings. The House Select Committee on Assassinations in 1978 acknowledged that Kennedy was probably assassinated as a result of a conspiracy, but the specifics and culprits were never conclusively identified. Dallas itself became a city marked by sorrow and haunted memories after the assassination. The Secret Service, grappling with its failure to protect the president, fundamentally changed its approach to presidential security. Jacqueline Kennedy emerged as a symbol of grace and resilience amid despair, while the devastating funeral procession through Washington, D.C., with its drums and riderless horse, marked the end of a hopeful era dubbed Camelot. The media frenzy was unprecedented. Oswald's murder played out on live television, the Zapruder film circulated worldwide, and every detail was consumed by a grieving and suspicious public. The lives of many, John, Jackie, Caroline Kennedy, Governor Connally, the Oswald family, and countless others, were irrevocably altered by that single act of violence. The enduring fascination with the Kennedy assassination lies in its layers of complexity and tragedy. It represents a crossroads where history, politics, conspiracy, and culture intersect. It exposed a nation's vulnerability, ending the post-war innocence and opening the door to the social upheaval, Vietnam War protests, and political scandals that defined the 1960s. Decades later, books, films, documentaries, and ongoing disclosures through declassified files keep the debate alive. The 6 seconds that transformed Dealey Plaza remain among the most scrutinized episodes in American history, an enduring puzzle that challenges each generation to seek the truth and grapple with the consequences of lost innocence and unanswered questions. This story stands not only as a pivotal historical moment but as a deeply human tale of hope, loss, and the fragility of power, rich in drama, emotion, and mystery, forever etched into the American consciousness.